Hey, I don't know if you just saw me flash the camera, but welcome. These headphones ringing. Mystery, the School of Mystery. I am currently sitting in the lap of luxury on my mother's land, getting my medicine, resting, like in ways that are making me a little uncomfortable. Spending a lot of time in the sun, getting as much natural vitamin D as possible. Let me take these straps down. Um, and last week I was hosted by my good sister, um, Erica Oshun Bemi. Um, and we were just talking about the ancestors, talking about our native ancestry, which we have some in common, and it just put me in a space of sitting with them. Like I'm literally back in my mother's land. I told you I was moving back to Ohio, so and I'm just a part of my desire to move to Ohio. Um, I mean, it's so layered, and I'm sure like more of it will come to the surface. Niggas gotta make sense of some shit, especially when you're telling people you're moving back to the Midwest. It's like, wow. So, gotta make sense of it somehow. Um, and so, I mean, part of that for me making it make sense has been um, knowing that Ohio slash the Midwest is a very powerful portal, land base, home base on Turtle Island. And it's my home, it's my mother's land. And as I continue to mature in New African Vodun, I'm seeing so clearly how being on this land is medicine for me, and I have medicine to share with this land. So I'm back home to do that. And so being in that space, I was talking to Erica because we sisters from way back, like organizing days when we were both fresh out of college, just getting into our, um, you know, Black Pantherist shit. Really beginning stages of answering the ancestral call. But she has recently joined the Sweetwater Collective, so now we are God sisters. So we sisters through and through. But I was telling her how I really want to um, like organize the Midwest Sweetwater Collective because there's so many of us who are in the Great Lakes region, and I mean, I can't speak for no other region because this is where I'm from. And the portals that are in the Midwest, through the waters, through the mounds, like, I want to pay homage to those spaces, give libation, give, whatever appropriate offering it is. Um, and so because of all of that, I've just been sitting with my Turtle Island ancestry, and just sitting with them. I spend a lot of time with my Dahomey ancestors in the sense of learning, studying, being in the practice of Vodun spirituality, the New African Vodun way, Natoshi style. Um, and but the New African Vodun way is, incorporating my Turtle Island realities, memories, medicines, mysteries, and so yeah, I've just been allowing myself to sit with them, to sit with the memories that I do have of my people, to allow that to spark curiosity, is what I call it, curiosity, or an ancestral, intervention, divine remembrance of, um, and just go on a journey. I just let them take me on a journey. Like I'll have a question about something, or ADHD shit. Something will come to my mind and I'm like, ooh, let's go Google search that. See what comes up. Um so yeah, I've just been on that journey, not anchoring myself to any direction, just allowing myself to be moved by the ancestors. And so I'm loving sitting in this sun, y'all. It is, I mean, it's giving me everything I need. Anyways, um, so they've been putting the messages on me, and I just want to share with y'all. And I would love to have a dialogue conversation about this. And I do realize that this is in the middle of the day, but this is when I felt moved to do this. So we can always, do a part 2 of this, come back to it later on. Maybe in the evening time where more folks are available, but this is where I'm at with it right now. So, one of the things that they have been reminding me of, and I've been able to resonate with a few of y'all on this, is that our indigenous Turtle Island ancestors, their entire realities stem from dreams and prophetic messages and divination and visions, you know. So they knew, especially, I mean, they knew, they knew so much more than what they are attributed to in these modern times. Even by the folks who are allowed to claim our native indigenous Turtle Island ancestry. Because And I've just decided that my Patreon is going to be the home of the rent party. If you know, you know. So this is my secret space. This is where I'm going to just, be myself and talk my revolutionary shit. So a big part of the reason why so many people in modern times are able to claim the ancestry of indigenous people is because they don't look phenotypically black slash African. Even though we can go back to photos of natives when photography technology was first shared with a modern motherfucking man, and see how dark skinned these people were. See how non European they looked. And this was after hundreds of years of colonization and terrorism. Still, after hundreds of years, they still held the dark skin, the dark hair, the dark eyes, phenotypically black people. But once you can start, getting compensated for that motherfucking shit, once it was reparations on the motherfucking line, type shit. You know what I'm saying? Then it's like, oh, the people. I am in the Midwest. You see what the sun is doing to a motherfucker. This is now it's global warming, but this isn't like this isn't European or even now if you're from like the north part of Canada, what we call Alaska, lighter skin, understandable. Understandable. But on this part of Turtle Island, like come the fuck on now. And what we call Mexico and the Caribbean, white skinned people, come on, like let's be so freaking for real. So fucking for real. Let's be so fucking for real. Um and so the people who are allowed to call themselves Ojibwe and Cree and motherfucking Cherokee and goddamn Seminole, even though they some real niggas. But those people who get to identify in that way, Navajo and all that type shit, they um, And I'm not going to say that they don't have the spirit of the original indigenous ancestors within them, because they do. But what I do know is that so many of our ancestral mothers who are indigenous to Turtle Island chose intentionally to identify as Black, whether it was through the mating with Africans, with, Black people who were enslaved here in Turtle Island in the Caribbean, or if it was literally just identifying themselves as Black people. Um, because our mothers knew, and I'm going to speak for my Ojibwe mothers at this point. My Ojibwe mothers knew that if they didn't move from the Atlantic Ocean to wherever they saw rice growing, this was the prophecy. The prophecy was, keep walking until you see rice. That is where home is. And if you don't move, you are going to lose your traditional ways of life. And so they got up and left because they knew with the invasion, and like, this was not during the invasion of Euros. This was before. They got the message before and they took heed to it. And they spent generations traveling from the Atlantic to the Midwest and eventually to spreading into Canada, spreading into parts of the Mississippi. Um, because and they were able to do that. The Ojibwe is the largest group of indigenous Americans on Turtle Island, well, in the U.S. Um, because of one, our military strategy and power, but also how we followed the prophecy. We followed the prophecy, and sometimes that meant, okay, I have to keep moving. My people done stayed at Lake Huron, but I gotta keep moving. I gotta keep moving because this ain't the rice patch that my mothers was telling me about. So I'm gonna keep moving until I see more rice, and that's how we end up in the Mississippi. That's how we end up in northern parts of, or south central parts of Canada. Another prophecy from the Ojibwe mothers is the dream catcher. This is medicine from the Ojibwe people, dream catcher. And the original medicine for a dream catcher from Ojibwe was that the mothers knew that we were going to continue to expand. We were going to continue to spread out. And there was no way for them to know every child. There was no way for them to be in contact with every Anishinaabe, every Ojibwe child. So they created these dream catchers that were protectors, but it was also tethers to our mothers. It's tethers to the divine memory of who we are. So you give it to the baby as the protection, but also as the tether, so that we're literally raising them up. There's things that we get predisposed to as babies, as newborns, that I don't need any life experience to hold this information. When the time comes, it's gonna come out of me. And so that's a part of the dream catcher medicine. This was centuries ago when the dream catchers were created, And now, especially with like the modern pro Indian, pro native movements, you can go from like the 60s and 70s, you know, down to the new age, down to people now identifying as black indigenous, um, which that's a oxy fucking moron, but we can get into that another time. um, the meaning of Dreamcatcher has changed a little bit, but it's still tethered to that same principle. It still ties in that same principle of, all of these, and people who are allowed to identify as Native, they get really upset, at the new age ways that dream catchers are created, and I totally understand why. Because it's seen as a appropriation of the culture, and people are misunderstanding the thing. But even in the, like I was saying, in the 60s and 70s, indigenous tribes got together and they utilized the dream catcher as a symbol of unity amongst the First Nations people. So that's one of their symbols of unity. And technically, that's not the original intent of the dream catcher. But again, it still goes back to um, staying close to mother. Whether we're seeing it as a protective amulet from the mothers because we were going to spread out, and the mothers weren't going to be able to recognize all of us without certain, symbols and amulets and things like that. Or if people now want to say that it means unity, yeah, we're united under this symbol. You know what I'm saying? So I hope this is making sense because I am channeling under the sun. Um, but where I'm going with it with a new African Bodoon is that the medicine and the wisdom and the secrets of Turtle Island is in us. It's in us. And this is for indigenous earth-based people, period. We wasn't writing shit down. And you think that and how do you think we were able to sustain cultures for tens of thousands of years? Fully seasoned, fully cooked. This shit is delicious. Everybody want a bowl or two. Refills. Okay? Decadent. Because a part of the mysteries, a part of the tradition is passed down in the everyday motherfucking living. You seen your grandmothers live. You seen how your grandfathers live. You seen your people live. This is a part of the tradition. Yes, in 100 years from now, what we say this thing means may change. But if the symbol is still there, we are still living. This is still the tradition alive. Alive. And that's really what the mothers want to instill in this message, is that it don't have to look like it did hundreds of years ago, because we are still here. The how to is still here. It's within us. It is alive. The tradition is alive. Our mysteries are alive. They aren't pigeonholed into the one moment in time when this thing was, you know, crafted or prophesied. This is a living thing. We are in a living reality. And we really have to continue to trust ourselves. Like, trust ourselves, trust each other for real. You know, I'm going back to the reading of the year that my Ia did, and a big message that Ibukole shared with us is start building your community. Really get serious about who is your people that you're having in real life conversations with. And of course, these day and age, we are creating global societies. We have the ability to be and move all over the place. you know. And so a part of those in real life conversations are going to be happening digitally. But where can we be candid in ourselves and speak truth, and not have to be polished or do it for the algorithms and the likes and all the shares and shit. Um, and so, trusting ourselves, trusting each other. If you feel like you're surrounded by people that you don't feel like you can trust, then trust that. Trust yourself, goddamn. Trust yourself, because this is not the time to bypass that feeling just because, oh, this my nigga for how many years, or we've done this together, or I owe them this. No, you pay your dues and get the hell on. if that's the case. Um, because we have to really lean into trusting ourselves and trusting one another um, in these times. Because what I'm also gathering from the Turtle Island mothers is that when we don't do that, the enemy will use that against us successfully and continuously. Will use that against us. Like, um, for an example, the Anishinaabe it have become so many different types of people um, because some of us were aligning ourselves with Europeans and seeing ourselves as like, oh, one people of the earth. So yeah, we should be sharing. And some of us is like, that's stupid. That's dumb. That's counterintuitive. I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna keep moving. Wherever the rice is growing, okay, then that's where I can settle. That's my mother's land. But I don't agree with this. You know? And for other reasons as well. Shit. No. Just want to make sure my tea is eaten. But anyways, so um, so yeah, they will use that against us if we don't find ourselves aligned with people that we can actually trust. That this is my kin, and I'm better off relating to them. I'm better off figuring things out with them than aligning myself with people who we now know their character, terrorists. We now know that these people are terrorists. We don't have to act surprised about that shit. And if you still acting surprised that people who are under colonial rule on purpose and spreading that still with imperial force are terrorists, then what's going on? Where you been at? Because yeah, that's what's happening. Because the they put the memory on me of these are the people who would give a peace offering covered in smallpox. This is what these people do. This is what these people do. They make sacred pacts with you, and then they do some diabolical shit that you would never think of. Who's thinking to check the blankets for a disease? Nobody was thinking of no bullshit like that. But this is it. This is who we're working with. Excuse me. That's how you know confirmation. This is who we're working with. Those types of people. So we must stay vigilant. Assimilating is erasure. Now that's how you forget the culture. When the Ojibwe mother said you gotta move to wherever rice is growing or you're gonna forget your traditional ways, this is what she meant. It's like, oh, you see people losing their way. Okay, you gotta get the fuck. Go head on to wherever the rice is growing. And as soon as y'all stop living according to the tradition, then you're gonna have to move again where the rice is growing. That was the prophecy. That was our protection. That is our guidance. That the only way to survive this is through living in the tradition. Remembering our sacred medicine. Remembering our sacred stories. Remembering our dreams and honoring them. Child, the heat cooked my phone. It was cooking me. It was cooking my phone. Well, my tan looks great. Shout out to the heat wave. Okay, so I'm gonna take us back outside just to a shaded area because I want to sit on the land. I was trying to find my big clacky fan because that may generate more breeze for your girl, but I'll make it do what it do. All right, So we're journeying back into the yard. As I was saying, I really don't even know where I left off, but I remember talking about trusting ourselves, trusting each other, trusting our vetted elders, our, um, our medicine people, our diviners, our two-headed spirit, our two-spirit people, our two-spirit people, um, people who, you know, chose the destiny of interpreting the messages of the divine, because that is a very important role in our society that colonization has tried to minimize in so many ways, and we can't be the colonizers to ourselves. Let me get set up. Okay, so now I'm in a shaded area. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm just chilling with y'all today. Now what I want to do is I want to pull some oracle cards. I have my big bag of mysteries right here. So let's see what we have inside. You can see